How to get an apartment after living at home because you're tired of all the rules. You want to go around and meeting anyone you like and bring them home without anyone asking you questions. You want some privacy. If you're feeling unprepared, not knowing how to transition, stay tuned. We're going to give you all the details so you can plan your escape. Get ready, because it's about to get real. Welcome to Mastermind Mondays, where we're going to give you all the details you need to know in bite-sized pieces so that you can win at life. So we're going to get into the 8, and yes, I said 8 really important steps to help you from where you are right now to where you want to be. And if you're new here, go ahead and click subscribe, click the like button, and when you click subscribe, also hit the bell so that you can get notified the next time we publish content or whenever we go live so that you won't miss a beat. So the one thing that you want to keep in mind as you're going through the search is you're putting your best foot forward against competition. So there are going to be other renters who are going to be applying, and landlords make their judgment call not just by income and credit, but how much they like somebody. And likability is a big part of the rental search process as much as it is anywhere else. So yes, income matters. Yes, credit matters. How much money you have saved, that matters. Your personal references, those matter. How you present that information also matters. And now I know you might be thinking, oh boy, I might have some disadvantages here because I don't have all those traditional documents. But don't worry about that, because there are hundreds of ways of approaching the rental process. Before we get into that though, I want to help you understand there are a couple of really important opportunities for you that you may not be aware of because they're new. They're brand new technologies that are currently available for renters. We're going to get into what those are later on in the video. And then also we're going to give you access to a free resource created specially for renters. I'll share that link with you later on. So if you like what you're hearing so far, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and remember, we're putting the information out there so that you can save yourself a whole bunch of time and money. Honestly, apartment searching might be fun for some, but it's only going to be fun to a certain point. You really got to ask yourself, would you rather do that or would you chew bubble gum? Yeah, would you rather make out with your favorite person? Would you rather go jogging, make money? So there are a lot of other things people would rather do. And this is going to help you really shrink that amount of time into the apartment search so that it can remain fun even throughout this whole process. So why am I qualified to talk about renting? Okay, first of all, I spent nearly 10 years in real estate as a leasing agent, helping thousands of renters throughout the process. I transitioned myself to coaching real estate agents now. I am not a real estate agent. Throughout this entire video or anytime on my channel, I'm not offering real estate advice. What I am offering though is my experience to give yourself an advantage over your competition, and it's free, so take advantage of it. My goal with this channel is to help you achieve the freedom, the control, and the happiness that you want out of life. Traditionally, the rental apartment process takes 2 to 3 weeks. But if you use the correct approach and the correct technologies, you can really shorten that time to 5 to 7 days. So some of our success stories, for example, are Luis Poblano, Jose Estrada, Summer Russell. If you go to 36010x.com, you're going to see a lot of really great reviews from Yelp, Facebook, Google, video reviews. We have nearly 1 terabyte of good reviews that we're going to end up converting over and making them available to the website eventually. Down below, you're going to see handwritten reviews that we've received. And so first thing that you need to get an apartment is to have a bank account. If you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I don't want a bank account. I don't want the man having my money. I don't want banks charging me fees. I don't want. That's fine. Open an account, have it for 3 or 4 months while you're looking for an apartment, and then you can close it. The point is you have to show a paper trail that you are receiving income and a few other things that are going to be outlined in a bank statement that you can't really replicate and create the kind of trust that you're looking for in any other way. So the first thing that landlords are going to be able to glean off of the bank statement is your income ratio. Income ratio is numero uno, the very important thing that you need to be able to prove to a landlord. And the landlord takes that total, whatever that is, for however many people are involved, from each of their bank accounts individually or collectively in one bank account. You take that total amount, divide that by 3. And so if you divide that by 3, so if you guys or you individually have $3,000 in income, you divide it by 3, that means you can technically afford $1,000 in rent. Okay, notice I'm talking about the total amount that was deposited. This is called your net income. And if you are an Uber driver, factory worker, whatever you're doing, selling pictures of your feet online, you need to be able to show your total income. And so if you have cash income, don't get freaked out like, oh my God, nobody's gonna rent to me because I have cash income. It's not a big deal. Being a waitress, cool, then make money like that. You wanna go dance for people, then be a dancer. The idea is you wanna take the money that you're getting and then you wanna put it in the bank account, okay? And that's what the landlords care about. You need to have substantial savings when you're going to be looking for an apartment. And if you're still living at home, and you haven't made that substantial savings, you need to stop and save, because the last thing that you want is for your first apartment where you earn yourself an eviction, the big E. So actually from your end, it would be the E, right? And an eviction is a really bad thing because it proves to landlords everywhere that you are irresponsible and cannot be relied upon to pay rent on time. And so they're not going to want to rent to you collectively anywhere for like 3 to 5 years. One other thing I got to tell you about avoiding the eviction is if you're going to end up moving with people as your roommates or as your co-renters, you want to make sure that they are just as equally responsible or better responsible than you. If you're not very responsible, don't move. If they're not responsible, don't move with them. Because if one person fails to pay and the other person pays, it's the same as both people failing to pay, because the landlord can't take less than the rent amount. Both people are going to be responsible equally for the rent. So if you're paying and your roommate or co-renter is not paying, you're going to be responsible for their portion. And you can't say to the landlord, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't, it's them, it's not me. I paid my rent. You see, here's my check. That's not enough for the landlord, because it's also not going to be enough for the bank that they owe money on their property. The bank doesn't allow landlords to pay partial. Okay, does that make sense? There's a cause and effect, there's a chain reaction. And so the landlord is going to have to do a hard stop with you and say, look, either you pay your friend's rent portion or you move your friend out and move somebody else in who can pay, but you guys can't stay here and not pay the full portion. And so if that situation comes and you guys don't move out and don't pay, then you're going to get an eviction, which means both of you have to get on out. And then if you have an eviction, meaning a record has been filed in court, then you just won't be able to move for a very long time. And when you decide to move, you're going to have to come out with substantially more money than you would have initially needed to, because you're going to have to come out of pocket with enough money to guarantee a future landlord that you're not going to do the same thing to them. Now, as far as the amount of savings you need to have in order for you to move, you have to anticipate that the landlord is going to want at least first month rent and security deposit, so basically double the rent, or first month rent and move-in fee. And this is going to be, not including the application fee you'll need to pay. So point number 2 is documents. And this is a pretty big category, so we're not going to get into all the different kinds of documents, but we're going to get into some of the highlights. Like you're going to need pay stubs, employment verification. Well, Robert, what's the difference? Why do I need a pay stub and an employment verification? Well, there's a difference, because an employment verification proves that you have a job right now. And a pay stub proves that you had a job the last time you got paid. So somebody could have, like your employer could have said, well, here you go, here's your pay stub, thanks so much for your service, don't come back. That means you got paid and that was the last check. But an employment verification says, as of the time that the verification was filled out, you still have a job, which makes the landlord feel a whole lot better, because it means that you can still have income to make future rent payments, which is way better than not having a job. And having a pay stub, which is proof of historic income, isn't a guarantee of future income. And you're going to need to have your driver's license or other state ID and any income documents such as, food stamps, Social Security income, Section 8, any kind of annuities or any kind of other money that you might be getting from inheritance or from trusts or whatever. So, just all of this money gets collected and pooled into the general income category. If you want to know what all of the documents or types of documents that landlords will typically request, you can go ahead and go to 36010x.com. There's a link down below, and then you basically create your account and you will be directed to the Documents tab eventually, or you can click on Menu, click on Documents. You can see the list of documents. Some of them are required, some are optional. You got to figure out which documents you really need. You do not need to use the service. It's just a free tool so you can learn what kind of documents that landlords typically ask for, so that you can upload them and keep yourself organized and be ready when a landlord requests something. You can just pull that document up on your phone and just show them, or you can email them, and that'll be much easier for you. And one of the documents that is on that list is credit report, and that's tip number 3. And so the credit report is going to be one of those really complicated documents for a lot of people, but it's a very important document that you shouldn't have to pay a lot of money for. So Credit Karma is one of those free resources that a lot of people are starting to rely on. And it's nice because they organize the information very cleanly, and it'll have your score. There's a way to generate a full report, which is something you'll need to be able to send out to a landlord. And this document is really going to save you a ton of time. If you have great credit, you don't want to have lots of landlords pull your credit, because it's going to reduce your score if they make hard inquiries. And there's a difference between hard inquiries and soft inquiries. This is not the section that we need to get into for this, but if you want to know what the difference is, just type in the comments section credit report ? And then we can create a video content around that if we have enough requests. And then so when you meet with a landlord, what you want to do is you want to avoid having lots of landlords pull your credit and also waste a lot of your money. Because what we've learned by being in the industry is that some landlords create situations where they keep an apartment open after it's been rented, or while they're no longer interested in renting it, just to collect application fees. And I'll illustrate. Typically, landlords in a decent area will collect between 2 and maybe 15 applications per day, Monday through Sunday. And let's just suppose we're not going to count Monday through Sunday. We're just going to count Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 applications each. Landlords typically charge $50 for an application fee. So $50 application fee on Friday times 3 applicants is $150. Plus 3 more applicants on Saturday, now we're at $300. And 3 more applicants on Sunday, now we're at $450 for the weekend. And how many weekends are there in a month? So 4 times $450 is $1,800. And $1,800 in application fee income for a $1,200 apartment isn't a lot of incentive for the landlord to rent out that apartment. Or it creates amazing incentive for the landlord to collect application fees after they've rented out the apartment, and the new renter needs another 2 or 3 weeks before they can actually move into the apartment. As a renter, you actually have no idea if the landlord is actually intending to rent out that apartment. So to avoid that situation, when you meet with a landlord, you want to pull up your Credit Karma on your phone and just let them see it. Because once they know what's on the credit report and they say, I'm not so sure that's going to work out for you, or they say, yeah, that looks good, I just want to verify through my own report, that's a pretty sincere response. But if the landlord says something like, yeah, so there's an application over there, you just go ahead and pay the application fee, and then we'll call you if we decide to rent to you. That means they just sidestepped your entire question. They don't even look at your report. And so you can just get a general idea, they're just after the application fee here. Be careful about who you pay the application fee to. Make your decision based on their body language and what they say to you, how evasive they are. Because in that situation, you're paying twice. Once you paid with actual cash or credit card for the application fee, and then when they run the report, and you're paying for it again because it will ding your credit. So multiple dings like that will actually reduce the credit score, so that the second time or the third time you're applying for an apartment, you're actually worse off than the first time you applied or the previous time that you applied. Now that you have your documents in order, you have to start defining your search so you can figure out how many occupants are going to be living in the apartment with you. And so if you're moving by yourself, that's fine. But if you're getting into a situation where you're going to have 2, 3, or 4 different people living in the apartment with you, then you have to factor in how many adults and kids are allowed in a certain number of bedrooms. And so generally in the city of Chicago, and I'm pretty sure this applies to other parts of the country, a single individual can live in a studio or 1 bedroom. 2 people can also live in a studio or 1 bedroom, but 3 people cannot live in a studio or a 1 bedroom. They have to live in a 2 bedroom. And so the general idea is it's roughly 2 people per bedroom. The math isn't always going to make sense for you, because if you start breaking it down by square feet, it's not going to make sense at all. Because you might say, well, in a studio that's 500 square feet, 2 people have 250 square feet each. If I have 3 people in a 1,000 square foot apartment, that's a 1 bedroom, that would be 333 square feet, which is bigger than 250 square feet. Therefore, 3 people can fit in a 1 bedroom apartment. And the answer is no. The math isn't going to work in your favor here. There's a ordinance that establishes by fire code or building code how many people can safely live in an apartment. And so that's just the way it's going to end up working for you. So you have 3 people, you guys need to be able to afford a 2 bedroom apartment. If you have 5 people, you need to be able to afford a 3 bedroom apartment. So one thing you want to consider for tip number 5 is going to be location. Location's a big factor. So for example, you don't want to drive an hour to see your friends. You also don't want to drive an hour to see your family, and you don't want to drive an hour to go to work. Unless you really enjoy driving, it's going to be a small margin of you. But those of you who enjoy driving will soon figure out how expensive it is, not just on time, but on fuel, on maintenance, because you're going to have more maintenance, more oil changes, more brakes, more tires. Your car insurance is going to be higher. And so if you factor all of this in, distance is not going to be working in your favor because time is not in your favor. Try to pick something where it's going to work with your social life too. A lot of people, when they make the move, they start to realize, you know what, I don't think I made the right decision because now I'm lonely. My friends won't come and visit me. Well, think about that before you make the move. If you're an hour from your friends, so you have to drive for 2 hours there and back to see your friend for 1 or 2 hours. Doesn't really make sense, right? So just factor that in. And as far as your other search criteria, you have to figure out, are you going to have a pet? If you're going to have a pet, certain landlords aren't going to allow pets, so that's going to limit the number of opportunities you have to move. Then aside from that, you have to figure out what areas you're willing to live in and how much those areas cost for the number of bedrooms that you want to rent. So if you want to live in a really nice area and you have a limited budget, the apartments aren't going to be that nice. They're probably going to be ugly. If you want to live in an ugly area that's potentially high crime, the apartments are going to be really nice for the same price, and they want to make it attractive to people to move to a crappy area because they're going to say, well, I could get shot, but my apartment looks so nice. And so maybe that's something that is your situation that you can't really negotiate right now, but you have to factor that in. So what's really more important to you? Your safety and your peace of mind. And that safety, peace of mind situation is a real balance, because you might say, I have no peace of mind. I love the area. I can walk out any time of day, but I am miserable in the basement and it continuously floods. And sure, I feel safe outside, but I'm worried inside. There could be mold problems. There could be cockroach problems. There could be whatever, right? So it's really a tough situation. You're going to have to negotiate with yourself for what's really important for you. And then once you know what that is, then you can have a really successful DIY or DFY process. But you have to get through all of these steps to know what it is that you're looking for. Otherwise, you will drive yourself nuts and anyone else who's helping you. Now that we have your search criteria all organized, we have your documents all organized, we're going to get into tip number 7, the secret weapon, the secret element, the opportunity for you to get into the boss seat of the rental search, and that's called the digital profile. So what is a digital profile? A digital profile is basically a nicely constructed and scripted video information about yourself to a landlord that allows the landlord to get to know you a little better, which is really going to beat out any paper application and give you that way to stand out that other renters aren't maybe going to go the extra mile for. Sure, it takes time to make a video and get it professionally edited if you don't have the ability to edit it yourself, or you can hire, a company like 36010X to do that kind of videography for you, because it creates opportunities that you can't get with a paper application. Video is the future. Paper is not the future. Having the video isn't that important, but having information in the video that matters, that's important. And so when you're presenting to landlords, you got to know, what are they looking for? If you don't know, you got to pay somebody who'll tell you, or you got to do the research. If you know, then put it together and really stand out. But the point of the digital profile, you want to flip the script because you want to regain the control. Generally, when renters are working with landlords, the control is always with the landlord. The landlords are the ones making decisions, but if you're highly sought after because your information is better presented, even if it's just perception, hopefully you're not going to be using this as a Jedi mind trick to convince landlords to things that that they shouldn't be giving you. But most of the time, landlords going to have a pretty good head on their shoulders, and they're going to say, I like this person because they stand out. They took the extra step. But taking the extra step isn't going to cost you more time. It's actually going to save time because, yes, you're doing a little bit more upfront, but you're going to save a lot of time on the back end because you're not going to have to do as many follow-ups. And the idea here, the real value isn't the video itself. Okay, so I want there to be no confusion. The video is not the solution. The solution here is the pre-approval. What you're looking for is for a landlord to say, I like this person more than anybody else that's applied because of X, Y, and Z, including the content that's in the video. And what the power is of the pre-approval is, let's say that there's an open house, and you say, gee, Robert, what's an open house? Well, an open house is basically a landlord inviting a bunch of your competitors to apply for the same apartment. And so that's an open house, which renters don't like, by the way, if you are new to the game. But if you have a pre-approval, like we've done for many of our customers, then when they walk into an open house, because the landlord has already said, yes, I like this person, they can go there, check out the apartment, and make a decision, do I like it? If they like it, they'll have money with them to say, I like it and I'll take it. And the landlord says, okay, here are the keys. The person from our service will just go ahead and snatch the keys while everybody else over there at the open house has their head down, turns, and then they say, what just happened? Why are we even filling out this application? And the answer to that is, well, the people who were at the apartment, they didn't get a pre-approval. They were thinking they were going to do things the old-fashioned way, which is fill out the paper application, pay the application fee, wait for a decision, and then if they get a decision, negotiate. That's how the world sees the apartment rental process. The way we see the world is different, where we say you have to be ready first. It's all about preemption. Get the pre-approval, meet with the landlord, and then make a decision, do you want to move forward with it or not? But if you do, it's done. Complete control over the situation. A landlord actually feels comfortable about that because the landlord says, I know who this person is, I like them enough to work with them, and if they like the apartment also and we like each other, I think it's going to work out. So it's the pre-sale. And I think I've beat this thing to death enough that you understand that doing your work early and doing your homework early and putting the effort in early gives you advantages, while everybody else is going there with the mindset that they're entering a process. You're going in there with the mindset that you are finishing the process. You see that? But if you're in the position where you don't have that kind of time, and you want to really kick back and have a DFY process, then DFY is done for you. So it's not going to be a free service for you, but it's going to be a lot more relaxed. If you're going to end up using a DFY service, that's going to do substantially more for you than just show you apartments. Like if you want somebody to help you with a pre-approval, then you're going to have to come out of pocket for a premium service. And, they both have advantages. The traditional real estate agent has advantages over the DFY, and the DFY has advantages over the traditional real estate agent, and then both have advantages and disadvantages compared to your DIY process. A way that's going to work for you in a DIY situation, DIY means do it yourself. And so this is where you're going to really take charge and make some decisions and also negotiate for yourself and do a lot of other things. And if you understand this and you understand the value and you don't want to do it yourself, even though you understand it, you want a done for you service because you're like, Robert, I don't have that kind of time. Do you even have a wristwatch anymore, by the way? I have given up my wristwatch decades ago. I just use phones now. But anyway, if you're like, Robert, I don't have that kind of time, then just don't do it, right? Just pay somebody to get that done for you. There are managers and there are doers. If you're a manager, then you hire somebody to do the work for you. If you like getting your hands dirty and you want to experience the whole process yourself, and so this is your DIY situation. So whichever way you want to go with this, DIY, DFY, you have the tools to do it. And so if you are really confused about this whole thing, this is a DFY situation, in which case go to 36010x.com. If you understand how to do this, do not go to 36010x.com. Just get it done yourself. So now on to the next thing that I promised I was going to tell you, which is the free access to over 200 pages of information that you can get online at rentapartments.io, not .com, .io. And if you go to rentapartments.io, there are over 200 pages of content that you can look at. It's nicely categorized. I guarantee you, you will not find a more complete resource out there, bar none. You could probably look at 4,000 blog articles and they still won't have as much information as at rentapartments.io. So use that wisely, study it, share it. Speaking of sharing, if you like the information that was presented here, click like, click subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get notified the next time we publish content or go live. We're building a community here, and we want everybody who's a part of this channel to learn from it and grow together. And so if you like the information here, share it. Share it with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, however you like to share it, by email. Let them learn what you've learned here so they can grow. When they grow, it's better for you because you can ask people to keep you accountable. If you are the only one growing and no one else around you is growing, you outgrow people, then it creates a situation for you where you have to find new people, which is hard. It's hard to find new people to align with you. Find the people who are with you and help them grow with you. Then they become your support and you can get anchored to them and you can all succeed together. But you can't do that if you're greedy about knowledge. Share the knowledge with your circle, share the knowledge with your network so that you can all grow together and then you personally can win. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it exceptionally interesting and informative, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. How to get an apartment after living at home in 8 easy steps. That's 7. There's no way to rewire a DIYer. Just do it. So if any of that's confusing, you can pause and rewind and play that part again.